Today is day 324 of the October 7th war. Yesterday, the IDF spokesperson said it was going to be a significant week. Now, we all know what he was talking about. This morning, Hezbollah planned to fire hundreds of missiles at Israelis. Hezbollah planned to bombard Israeli cities. Hezbollah was preparing a massacre. Hezbollah's launchers were set up and aimed at their targets. The attack was imminent. In a precise operation, the Israeli Air Force targeted the launchers, saving countless Israeli lives. Hezbollah remains armed and dangerous. It continues to attack Israel. Today, Hezbollah said it launched more than 300 rockets, missiles, and drones directly at Israelis. The situation today is bad. However, it could have been much worse. This is what could have happened if Israelis had woken up, if the Israeli Air Force had not acted in the way that it did to stop Hezbollah's massive attack. Emergency services would have been overwhelmed. Missile defense systems would not have stopped every missile. Apartment buildings would have been destroyed. Men, women, and children trapped beneath the rubble. Hezbollah would have seen Israelis panicking, and this would have stoked their appetite for more killing and more attacks. Instead, the Israeli Air Force prevented Hezbollah's imminent attack by striking thousands of Hezbollah's missile launchers before they could go off. Hezbollah has been attacking Israel for 10 months, since October 8th, when it joined Hamas in its bloody war against Israeli civilians. Almost every day for the past 10 months, Hezbollah has fired rockets, anti-tank missiles, and suicide drones into Israel. More than 60,000 Israelis have fled their homes in northern Israel because of Hezbollah's ongoing attacks. Hezbollah has shot Israeli houses with precision anti-tank missiles. Entire communities have been destroyed. Homes that people cannot go back to, farms, kindergartens, and schools. Last month, Hezbollah attacked the town of Majd al-Shams, killing 12 children who were playing soccer. This is what everyone should remember about Hezbollah. Hezbollah is trained by Iran, financed by Iran, and armed by Iran. Hezbollah is part of Iran's Ring of Fire, 7 fronts on which Iran attacks Israel. The other fronts are Hamas in Gaza, Hamas in Judea and Samaria, Iranian regimes in Syria, Iranian-backed militias in Iraq, the Houthis in Yemen, and of course, the head of the scorpion, Iran itself. Iran wants to light the Middle East on fire. It wants to watch it burn. It wants to watch Israel burn. Israel is fighting for its survival against enemies that want to destroy it. There are those who will claim that Israel has no right to carry out a preventative strike against Hezbollah. If we would have listened to them, then I would be speaking to you from under a destroyed building in Tel Aviv. Anyone who wants to prevent a wider war must pressure the international community to stop Iran and Iran's armies operating throughout the Middle East. Israel did not ask for this war. Israel does not want this war. However, Israel showed this morning that it will act against Hezbollah or anyone who threatens Israeli men, women, and children. Let's take some questions from our audience who is watching live on social media.
Doron, we have a lot of questions today from people watching live on social media. Hezbollah today said that its attack was finished. Cindy on Instagram is asking, what does it mean first phase is finished? Is there a second phase? When?
Hezbollah hasn't taken out a group of roses and offered it in a peace gesture to Israel. Hezbollah have 150,000 missiles, including precision-guided missiles aimed at Israel. Hezbollah has been attacking Israel for years. Hezbollah has launched tens of thousands of missiles at Israel, taking the entire northern part of our country completely hostage. Keep your eyes on the news. If I was a betting person, I certainly would not bet that Hezbollah is stopping what it is doing. If we want to, all we have to do is look at Hezbollah's charter. Their existence calls for the destruction of the state of Israel. If we can believe anything about Hezbollah, trust me, that is exactly what they are intending to do.
Question coming through from our Instagram stories. We hear that Hezbollah is only targeting military sites in Israel. What's your response to this?
Israel said in the past, when the 12 young children were killed, we called out Hezbollah then. Hezbollah claimed to be aiming directly at military targets when they killed those 12 children playing soccer in Majd al-Shams. Military targets, striking military targets, is an act of war and has got to be met with a response. Hezbollah fired 300 missiles and killer drones into Israel. They didn't fire them into the sea. They fired them directly into Israeli cities. And now they're saying that they were trying to strike military targets? This isn't Gandhi or Mother Teresa speaking here. We can't believe them. This is Hezbollah. They are the epitome of evil. If Hezbollah says anything, you can know that they are constantly lying. We don't believe what they're saying. They've been attacking Israel. They've killed Israeli civilians. And we have our eyes on them because we know that they are out to do just what they say. Destroy the people of Israel, the citizens of Israel, and the state of Israel.
Benji on Instagram asks, can Israel dismantle Hezbollah and Hamas at the same time and ensure security in all of Israel, including Judea and Samaria, or is it too much all at once?
Israel has no choice. Israel does not have the privilege of not destroying all of the enemies that are facing it. And as we showed this morning, while we are carrying out operations against Hamas terrorists who committed a massacre in Israel, simultaneously, we carried out operations and we eliminated an attack that would have been a massacre against Israelis just before Hezbollah could pull the trigger. I would not advise anyone to try to attack Israel. We will do whatever we need to do. Everyone in this country, men and women, are drafted into the army because we know that this is a war over Israel's existence. Yes, we can and we will defend our country from all threats.
Daniel on Instagram asks, what is Lebanon doing to take back its land and its citizens from Hezbollah?
Lebanon is not doing enough. Lebanon has been taken over by Hezbollah, and if we listen to the Lebanese people, they are crying out against Hezbollah. They're crying out to Israel, and they're crying out to you around the world. They're asking for international pressure to come down on the Lebanese government to stand up against Hezbollah while there is still a shred of autonomy in the Lebanese government. The world has got to act against Hezbollah. They are the largest non-state terror actor in the entire world. Let's not forget, these are not just Israelis that they kill. They put Lebanese civilians directly at risk. They killed over 240 American Marines who were sleeping in their barracks by driving tens of tons of explosives directly into their barracks. Hezbollah is a terror army. They have got to be stopped. The Lebanese government has to stop them, and the international community needs to turn its focus on Hezbollah, stopping them in their tracks, because Israel is only one step on the way to what Hezbollah really wants. Let's not forget, they're not only burning Israeli flags, they're burning United States flags, American flags. They stand against freedom. They stand against Western values. It is time to pull the mask off of Hezbollah, see through the deception, and make sure that they cannot leave their own borders, cannot continue attacking, and that the Lebanese people can take back their own country.
Hillary on Instagram asks, to what degree does Israel believe that Israel has limited Hezbollah's ability to attack central Israel?
We're not taking anything for granted. We can tell you that this morning, Hezbollah had its fingers on launching thousands of missiles towards central Israel, and that was largely averted. They still managed to send 300 drones toward Israel, northern Israel, where people live and have fled their homes, and the center of Israel. There is still a very large weapons arsenal that Hezbollah has, and that is why Israeli intelligence, Israeli Air Force, and Israeli army are totally prepped. We know that Hezbollah is committed, has said that they are committed to destroying Israel, and therefore Israel is constantly on guard. We did not ask for this war. We did not want this war. However, we showed this morning that we will protect our citizens at any cost, and we advise Hezbollah to immediately back down, retreat beyond the Litani River, as they agreed to do with the world in United Nations Resolution 1701. And why don't they start working on rebuilding the Lebanese economy, which they've destroyed, rebuilding the hospitals that they've taken over to put their missiles in, and ensure that their children can go to school and build a brighter future, rather than sucking their entire population into a war that most of them don't want.
Nir on Instagram is asking, what's the latest update on a hostage deal and what are the factors preventing progress?
We know that Israeli delegations, even seeing Hezbollah's massive attack on Israel that was averted, are meeting in Cairo. We are doing everything we can, the Israeli government, to try to negotiate a hostage release. However, we know that the cost of this is taking terrorists who are active terrorists out of Israeli jails and sending them back into Gaza, where they will continue to be terrorists. We have to think twice. Can any of you imagine releasing Charles Manson back on the street of wherever you're living? A dedicated killer who has killed before and is saying that they're going to kill again. Let's not forget, Hamas's tagline has not changed. We will continue doing October 7th again and again and again. And therefore, Israel is doing everything it can for a hostage deal, but at the same time trying to secure our country. We know that one of the most important sticking points here is the Philadelphia corridor. We have to remember the Philadelphia corridor is the corridor that separates Gaza from Egypt. It is one football field in width. When Israel took back over the Philadelphia corridor, we found dozens and dozens of tunnels. These aren't just tunnels you dig in a playground. These are tunnels that are 3 meters wide by 3 meters in height. That's 10 by 10. They are big enough to drive trucks through, which is exactly what they did. They are big enough to drive arms through, weapons and missiles. This was the umbilical cord of Hamas. And Israel has been saying from the beginning, there is no way that we are going to leave Gaza, even for our hostages, and allow Hamas to have the exact same supply route that they had when they carried out the October 7th attacks. Not to mention, our hearts are with our hostages. Over 100 men, women, and children are being held in the most despicable conditions. However, we know that they are in Gaza. What do you think would happen if those supply routes were opened? It would not only be contraband and weapons coming into Gaza, Hamas could try to smuggle our hostages out of Gaza where they could be lost to us forever. So Israel is taking good steps while being very, very cognizant of the costs. Our hearts are with the hostages, and we must bring them home now.
This last question is from Faith, who submitted this question on our Instagram Live. What more can we do to help you all besides sharing the truth on our social media?
Faith, first of all, what you can do is exactly that. You can amplify this message. As I've said before, if there is an auditorium with 1,000 people sitting and 10 people stand up and scream out epithets against Israel, supporting the terror regimes of Hamas and the terror regimes of Hezbollah, all those thousands of people will hear them in the deafening silence. Be part of the 20 people who stand up and scream out for the truth that Hezbollah, Hamas are simply proxies of Iran. Iran is the largest state sponsor of terrorism in the entire world. They have killed Europeans and Americans and Israelis. Amplify that message, because Israel is the canary in the coal mine. Iran is not just setting its sights on Israel. They are watching to see how the West responds to an attack on Israel. You see that, and I see that. Israel is standing strong not only to protect our own country, which is our first priority, but to stand up against an evil who is seeking you and your country as well. Amplify that message. Continue tuning into the Israeli Citizen Spokesperson's office and allow us to reach more viewers and more of those listening so that we can stand on the right side of history against those who are standing on the wrong side of history. Tune in every day at 3 p.m. Israel time, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're here to bring you the most updated news and commentary. We're here to bring you the truth. Thank you.